don't underestimate the power that you have and the absolute value that you will bring that other people will not. And I think far too often we underestimate ourselves and actually, or compare ourselves to what we think an ideal looks like. And if we don't fit the ideal, then are we, not good enough? Actually, what you bring is going to add to the organization, to the team, something that perhaps they don't already have. So I think that's a really important thing, is to really understand your own personal power that you bring. And I don't mean power in terms of rank and role. I mean, as in really what you bring, your experience that you've been through, the skills and capabilities that you will have built in yourself that other people won't have. So recognize that, and when you show up, believe in yourself, because you are bringing something and the organizations will be lucky to have you. So I'm Joanne Conway. I'm the head of diversity, equity and inclusiveness at EY UK. So we have about 20,000 employees in the UK. And for those that don't know us, we're a global accountancy firm. So I go across the UK and I have a team of 9 who's dedicated to DE&I. So we're a global organisation. We've got 360,000 employees all across the world. So from EMEA, APAC, from Americas, basically all across the world. And in my role, so I'm based in the UK role at the moment, but prior to this, I led on our executive DE&I team, which was a global team. And as part of that role, I had an incredible opportunity to travel to the US, to Argentina, to India, to Hong Kong, and really just get to connect and learn from different cultures. So really incredible opportunities. And it's great to be able to work for such a large organisation where you get that opportunity. So I'm from Dublin. I would class myself as having an Irish heritage. Both my parents are Irish, and all of my family. I was born in the UK. I was born actually in Lancashire, and grew up in classes one of kind of the most disadvantaged areas in Lancashire. I guess that was my start in life, and although for me, being that young age, that's not what I saw. What I saw was going to school, playing with my friends, having a good time. For me, I definitely didn't see that. And I think sometimes that comes to that perception when people look outside, but actually that's not necessarily everybody's lived experience. So that was my start in life. And then when I was 7, actually we moved back to Dublin. So myself and my mum and my family, my siblings, I should say, we moved overnight, and we actually fled domestic violence. So that's one of the things that I think it's really important for us to be able to talk about there's often this stigma that comes from that, whereas actually that can impact your life. And there are things that happen to individuals that you have no control over, but it does actually impact your trajectory and kind of the options that you have. So for me, being 7 and doing that was a massive change in our lives. But we moved back to Dublin and lived closer to my mum's family. So I grew up then predominantly in single parent households, eligible for free school meals, grew up in council estates, and that was my background. And then when I was 14, we moved back again. So there's a bit of a theme here. So we moved back from being 14, when I was 14, from Dublin to London this time. And again, that's a massive change. So one of the things I would say is that while all of these things are really difficult to deal with at the time, what it has given me in terms of a life skill is that I'm very good with change. There is nothing that can happen at work that will ever faze me, because I've been through so much. Yeah. And that's why I really connect with these young people as well, is that there's often things that happen that are outside of your control that can sometimes limit your choices. And for me, that meant having so much change, going to school. When I lived in Dublin, I was getting straight A's. I was, very ambitious. I was very academic, but having such a change when I was 14 into a different schooling system, as well as just kind of that life change, meant that I didn't actually do as well at school. So in my GCSEs, I did, I got my 5 passes, but just about, and went on to do my A-levels, but actually dropped out after a year because of circumstances at home, which meant that I just wanted to get a job and move out. So that's what I did. So when I was 17, dropped out of college and went straight into paid employment and was living then for the next kind of from when I was 18 onwards and just taking back that control and being able to do that was the right thing for me at that time. And then I worked in retail, I worked in factories, I worked in lots of just kind of smaller jobs before moving into working in a small office and in credit control, which I think a lot of people start off actually working in credit control call centres when they move into this kind of office working into professional services. And then after a couple of years, I thought, you know what, I probably should get an education. Actually, I miss learning. That was something that I loved to do. So I started a degree with the Open University, and I did that while working full time. I did a degree in psychology with the Open University, and then I went on to start working at EY when I think I was just finishing my degree, and I started joining as a junior in their finance team. So not in a finance background. I worked in more, again, kind of general office support as kind of a junior. And I've been with EY for 16 years, and I've worked my way up from being a junior to being a director. So it's been quite a long journey. And, you know, along the way then I've also had, I did my master's in HR. So after I did my degree, took a few years off and then thought maybe I'll go back and do something else. And I did a part-time evening course. I did a master's in HR management and development with a dissertation on psychological safety in minority groups, which I absolutely loved. And now I'm currently doing a doctorate on the topic of privilege in relation to race, gender and class. So for somebody that left education, which I think because I left it that was kind of outside of my control, I've kind of gone the other way where I'm just like absolutely love being able to have that opportunity to learn. So yeah, that's a little bit about kind of my background of how I ended up to where I am today. Don't underestimate the power that you have and the absolute value that you will bring that other people will not. And I think far too often we underestimate ourselves and actually or compare ourselves to what we think an ideal looks like. And if we don't fit the ideal, then are we, not good enough? Actually, what you bring is going to add to the organisation, to the team, something that perhaps they don't already have. So I think that's a really important thing, is to really understand your own personal power that you bring. And I don't mean power in terms of rank and role. I mean, as in really what you bring, your experience that you've been through, the skills and capabilities that you will have built in yourself that other people won't have. So recognize that, and when you show up, believe in yourself, because you are bringing something and the organizations will be lucky to have you.